foremost is to welcome all of you, members of the fourth estate, for this press briefing, which comes right on the heels of the just concluded by-elections, which I think IBC has declared almost all the results of all the polling centers, of all the electoral units, from county to the wards. I'm joined here by members of the Secretariat because, as you are aware, a significant number of our members, the leadership, was out there campaigning in their respective electoral zones. And I think those of you who've been keen following up on these developments would bear me witness that you did identify most of the leaders in various parts of the country. The purpose of this press conference, first and foremost, is to most sincerely and most warmly and most wholeheartedly thank all those who voted for the UDA and those equally thank those who did not vote for us in their capacity as Kenyans exercising their democratic right. I want to tell you in no uncertain terms that we have heard, and we will ensure that all concerns and all this information that was gathered during these by-elections, campaigns across the country, will continue to inform the debate and the discourse this party will continue to have, but is to most sincerely convey our gratitude to all those who participated in these elections. We also want to congratulate all those who participated in these elections, the winners from the UDA, the winners from outside the UDA, and those who competed in these various elections for the spirit they all exhibited during the elections. There were 24 contests. UDA participated in 21 across the country. We won 12 of the 21. Our other allies won 6 within that broad spirit of the BBG. So we actually have secured an almost supermajority in all these contests across the country. It shows that the unity of the country is paramount, and Kenyans are appreciating both the development programs by the President and the Kenya Kwanza government, or the BBG government, and appreciating the unity exhibited by the various political formation in this country, particularly the Kenya Kwanza government and ODM. And therefore also congratulate all those who won from our BBG government formation: Boyd, Omondi, and Harrison Kombe, and others from Fort Kenya in Fafi, who also have won a similar feat. Secondly, is just to tell the rest of the Kenyan people, particularly those of us who sip tea in Nairobi and make uninformed noises on the social media, that this country actually appreciates the impact of our programs. In fact, in a lot of the areas that were hitherto excluded from this country's development framework, marginalized and minorities, the contests were not between us and the united opposition. In fact, either the united opposition is not concerned of these areas, or those in these areas are not concerned about the united opposition. There was no united opposition candidates in all these areas that were hitherto marginalized. In Turkana, the contest was between us and ODM. In Banisa, it was between us and Fort Kenya. In other places, it was us and UDM, like in Tana River. These are the people who the Kenya Kwanza or the BBG government programs have impacted most strongly. People who have seen roads for the first time since independence. People who are accessing healthcare in manners that they never anticipated or ever imagined. People who have the promise of water and there's deliberate effort that they can see. Just today, the president has launched the Rironi, even as I speak, Rironi Mau Summit Road. And by March next year, we will be launching the Mau Summit Malaba. I want to bring the entire country into the matrix of development. And I think that's the audacity and the courage of the Kenya Kwanza government. These elections, like most of you in the media had called it, was like a test. It was like a midterm. All of you understand in democracies, electorates punish heavily governments that probably will be popular a year or two down the line. It's happening to Donald Trump. It's happening in a lot of other democracies. But this one gave us, to the contrary, gave us a faith, an expression of confidence, a vote of confidence. And we want to really thank the people of Kenya who expressed confidence. Because we see in Nairobi going to the social media and are constantly sabotaging the government's programs. You're asking for William Ruto to build stadiums and pay debt, some of you in the first 6 months of his administration. I have that pattern. Some of your media houses were asking William Ruto, Deni, Kenya is indebted. And you're wondering, is this man or woman who's asking this question sincere? So you need to exercise a bit of sincerity and have some philosophy that informs part of your critique. Sometimes, you know, when politicians, as absurd as they might sound, sometimes you ask a question, and I ask myself later on, what school did that man or young woman go to? Because that question that he asked is evidence of the most acute sense of ignorance. So we must also now, as a country, be a bit more sincere, because we've impacted on the people left out of the prism. We say here, bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The word transformation was used because the word revolution would have sounded too extreme to many of you in the middle class. These types of revolutions, where you totally and fundamentally reorganize the architecture of a country, be it it's economic, it's social, it's political, are usually revolutions that are carried out by militaries. Che Guevara, Thomas Sankara, but we carried out through a democratic process. And we were brave, unlike other governments in the past, which cow down on the basis of being told not to implement the universal health care. We soldiered on. You told us not to implement housing. It is impacting on the lives of the Kenyan people, and it is transforming lives and offering job opportunities. SHA had some teething problems, but audaciously we continued as a government because we believe every Kenyan deserves quality and accessible and possibly free healthcare. So we have, with courage, when we came in, we decided to own our sovereign obligations. The past government had set up a booby trap for anybody to fail, but we didn't. We went to the market, we borrowed, we were able to own our sovereign obligations. We removed controls on the Kenyan shilling. It competes in the market on its own strength. We have paid the Eurobond. We have been able to reprofile our debts on the SGR. So we have now enough headroom in our domestic revenue mobilization to undertake some other priority areas of development. The country we have been able to subsidize fertilizers, production rather than subsidize consumption. God blessed us with rains. We now have strategic reserves that are building up. Our foreign exchange reserves have built up. We have an import cover, which we have doubled from $6 billion to about $11 billion. There are things that have happened. The outlook, and not us, the IMF, World Bank, gives a very positive outlook. But then you find some tedious, annoying blogger constantly trying to destroy a country. We see you people these days inviting panelists that are neither economists, have no subject matter familiarity, that are not in the sector. Everybody these days knows everything. Every Kenyan is an expert on everything, which is fair enough. But at least even the way I understand Islam, it has compartmentalized knowledge. Everybody has his own sector speciality. That's why you would hardly hear me speak about medicine. I love those who have medicine. Like in Kenya, you can even do an open heart surgery and kill the patient. So we need to be a little more sincere about this country. The president in the State of the Nation articulated a grand plan for Kenya to build its muscle and its infrastructure through its own resources, through the National Sovereign Fund. Because we are testing new parameters. People are usually accustomed to doing things the old usual way. We sought the government or the validation of the Kenyan people on an agenda. We are the first government after KANU post-independence that is implementing its manifesto word for word. I can show you everything that is in that manifesto that is being implemented. You have it in your public record. Be it stadia, be it the creative, be it agriculture, be it SMEs, be it housing, be it healthcare. I hope you did not think we were just beating about the bush and joking as usually other people would joke and then continue with the same path. I think this is the one president and one government that has set a clear path of political transformation. And I'm happy, I must say I'm extremely elated that people out there, beyond the noises in TikTok, because if you had followed TikTok and these things you are on, you would have thought you were losing everything. Sijui Boyd is losing, it's not happening in Baringo, sijui huyu one time, sijui yule hivi. You know, sometimes build character in yourself by also being hesitant about criticizing others. You wake up an adult of sane mind and you go to the platforms of other men and other women and are constantly posting insults. And you have your picture of your daughter and your son on your profile. It's traumatizing sometimes to know the absurd use of social media. But ground vitu ni different. Na kama watu wanasikiza kweli ground, wangekuwa wamesikia. Sijui bado wanasikiza. Si ground imezungumza. So that is the clarion call to the Kenyan people to support this transformative agenda, to support the unity of the country. As I said, we have moved from that divide and rule of the colonial relic to unite and rule, have the participation of everyone. We are trying to rebuild the ethnic fractures that were created by the colonial masters. We are trying to get rid of the colonial borders. That's why we are unapologetically Pan-African in this party. We believe in the unification of Africa, or the East Africa. Even some of us understood Museveni, most of you didn't understand. He simply said, why do you allow these colonial borders to limit us in terms of our trade? No Kenyan government or a leadership under the Kenya Kwanza BBG government will ever restrict the use of her seas or our ocean to the detriment of Uganda. There are Kenyans, there are Sebes there, Kalenjins here. There are Tesos there, there are Tesos here. simply divided by colonial masters, and you hang on to these borders with such passion. Ati mimi ni hivi, mimi ni hivi. The first and most fundamental thing is to appreciate your African identity rather than the colonial partitions that put us into artificial borders. So these are some of the things this party believes in totally. We are totally Pan-African. We want to build this East African Federation of 320 million people. Sindio? It's because me, I'm Bantu. We were told as Bantus we came from Cameroon. Nobody stopped us. Tukapata, tukakuja hivi kona paka tukafika hapa. Wengine nasikia walitoka Sudan, wamekata kona. Wamefika hapa, William Ruto, kina Raila Odinga. Why are we restricting anybody else from moving all over Africa? These are some of the things which we need to have a conversation. And one of the things we need to do, as I finish this part of my speech, and I'm back on the second half, is to continue to create a country of critical thinkers, the culture of reading. By the way, UDA, by its own systems, by its own appeal, has young people elected. Yeah, because we have even the elderly, who the electorate still believe they have something to offer. We know democracy, you cannot simply discriminate on the basis of age, color, race. But more importantly, UDA has 2 women elected on their own motion. 2 women. One in Chewani Ward, Sophia, and another in Samburu, Isabella. Demonstrably, strong candidacy in women. The chair of this organization is a strong Embu governor who, some man somewhere, a disgraced former deputy president, continues to profile, demonstrating a sense of hatred, lack of political sophistication, savagery. So we need to continue to mainstream and enhance women leadership. And now, there will be an anticlimax to this press if we do not also address our grave concerns